The Kingdom Come universe is considered a classic within DC. It had its original book called Kingdom Come, and then it had a second book, but Mark Waid, the original creator, decided to kind of do a weird third chapter. You see, he's been running a series known as World's Finest, telling you the origin story of Batman and Superman hanging out in some of their first adventures. In those adventures, Superman discovered an individual that he took on as a sidekick, Thunderboy. But that person wasn't really from their Earth, and due to the circumstances of what happened, he ended up being teleported away from Superman and no one knew where he ended up. Well, Batman and Superman figured out a way to find where David had gone to, and it turns out that that place is the Kingdom Come universe. So a brand new Batman and Superman are about to see the situation going on in the Kingdom Come universe in today's episode of World's Finest. This is Comicstorian, where I take comic books, turn them into audio dramas so that you know what's going on. This allows you to know what to add to your collection, and today we're going to be covering World's Finest issues 20 and 21. If you enjoy this, consider joining us at Patreon, but check out the video first and make your own decision. In a blur of red lightning, the Flash runs through the multiverse, gaining glimpses of each world as he passes them. Suddenly, another Flash passes him, this one wearing a bowl-shaped helmet with wings. Flash slows for a moment, seeing a new world, and there he sees David, the former sidekick of Superman who disappeared into the multiverse, but something is wrong. Someone is standing over David. Back on Prime Earth, Batman, Superman, and Robin are preparing to fight against some of Wonder Woman's rogues that have arrived at Gotham City. But there's a blur of red and the criminals are all suddenly imprisoned. Also a plan. Batman grunts softly and Superman looks at their speedster friend in concern. Flash, you look worried. What's up? Barry steps forward, explaining to Superman that he's finally found David. But something is terribly wrong, Flash says, ruining Superman's happy moment. Later at the Batcave, Flash fully explains what he saw in the multiverse, telling them that David is on what he calls Earth 22, and he's possibly in danger. Flash motions over his shoulder, showing them the cosmic treadmill that he built, which should allow Batman and Superman to travel to Earth 22. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This design is unrefined. There's a chance you could end up landing anywhere in the multiverse. Are you guys sure about this? Flash asks them. But Batman and Superman don't hesitate, preparing for their journey. Lifting Batman into his arms, Superman steps onto the treadmill, beginning to run. There's a blur of motion and the world seems to stretch around them. Reality beginning to alter, and in moments, they find themselves on Earth 22. End of the line, Batman says as he looks around at the forest that surrounds them. At least we made it here in one piece, Superman points out, but Batman makes a note that they aren't solid yet as he waves his hand through the tree. Something's off. We're not fully in vibrational sync with our surroundings, Batman says, but Superman isn't listening, stepping out of the trees, finding an older David standing nearby. David! Superman shouts, but the older, scarred hero can't hear him. He's paying attention to something else, Batman notes, motioning Superman to look elsewhere. Nearby, older versions of Bruce and Clark are standing over 3 caskets. Inside of those caskets are Ted Kord, Kara, and Ray. Superman is shocked to see the bodies, but Batman turns, realizing that they are standing in a vast cemetery of dead superheroes. What in God's name happened here? What could have possibly taken so many? But he stops short when he sees the gravestone that reads, Red Robin. Superman joins him, the world suddenly spinning around them, and both heroes see flashes of events and people, but they are suddenly standing on the rooftop of the Daily Bugle, solid with the world once more. Barry warned us that we might experience some sort of temporal displacement. Batman notes as he looks around, and Superman nods, pointing out that they seem to have slipped back into the past. Same Earth, but a few years ahead of our own time, Superman says, scanning the city, finding his Earth 22 counterpart. Maybe he can tell us about David. Let's go introduce ourselves, Superman suggests, but Batman shakes his head. Not yet. He might not be as accommodating as you tend to be, Batman tells his friend, suggesting that they actually lay low and learn as much of this world as they can. You think our money's any good here? Batman wonders, and a short time later, the pair are in civilian clothes and journeying to planet Krypton, where they marvel over the celebration of superheroes at this restaurant. There are differences here. Have you ever heard of a superhero named Booster Gold? Batman asks, pointing to the picture of the restaurant's owner. Seems to think a lot about himself. Superman notes, and the two sit down for lunch, with Bruce questioning what Clark plans on saying to David, or what he plans to do with the young man when they return to their reality. He points out that Clark won't have an easy time just adopting David, pointing out that he went through the same thing with Dick. I'm rich. I know what have been the rules. Trust me, even with my resources, protective services were watching me like a hawk. He then takes a bite of his steak. But don't sweat it, it's all solvable. Maybe this Superman's already figured it all out, Bruce notes, and he looks up from his meal to realize that Superman isn't listening to him. What is it? Clark looks back at him, pointing out that he doesn't think he and his Superman are the same. Bruce, I can't get that cemetery out of my mind. How dedicated is a Superman who would ever let that happen? Clark asks. But Bruce shrugs, pointing out that they don't know the details about what happened yet, and Clark sighs, nodding. But he continues to look around the restaurant, his supervision finally landing on a book titled The Justice League Casebook, which he scans. There's one other difference between our Earths. I can't find a single reference anywhere to parallel worlds. Bruce, no one on Earth 22 has ever heard of the multiverse, Clark tells his friend quietly. But their lunch and conversation are suddenly interrupted as Clark turns his head to the sound of battle. In a blur of speed, he speeds away from the table to find David fighting against a supervillain in downtown Metropolis. As the Atom Master grabs a hold of David with his construct, Superman is suddenly there to break through the attack. Atom Master, right? We have one of you at home. But Atom Master laughs, creating a kryptonite wall that weakens Superman, bringing him to his knees. Suddenly, there's a gas pellet at Master's feet, and she falters. Too bad you didn't learn how to hold your breath. Batman growls as he stalks forward, freed of Master's construct. David steps forward as well. Superman, hold on, I've got this! David shouts as he grabs Master's face and begins to burn her away. She screams, releasing Superman from her attack. That's enough! Superman shouts, blowing out David's fire attack with his super breath. The danger has passed! You could have killed her! Batman shouts as both heroes rush to David's side. It takes a moment, but he suddenly realizes who they are. Wait, Superman, you're younger, and Batman, I remember that costume. His eyes light up as he smiles and he rushes to them. Happy, they finally came to save him. I'm so glad you're here. I've been here for years. I've been waiting for this moment. But then the happiness leaves his eyes as he grabs Superman by the throat, lifting him into the air, extreme energy bursting around them as Superman is screaming in pain. You abandoned me! Forgot about me! Left me to fend for myself on a whole new world! David shouts as he hits Superman with another burst of energy. You two have no idea what you're in for in this world! David growls as he glares at Batman. Elsewhere in the city, Clark Kent is in the process of getting a story. But news of the Thunderman fighting against Batman and Superman reaches his ears, and he disappears in a blur of red and blue. Back at the Batcave, the news is playing on the Bat computer. Bruce turning to Alfred to ask him to repair the experimental flight suit for combat. Back in Metropolis, Superman has gathered his strength and he lashes out at David, knocking him away. That's enough! First things first, let's move this discussion out of a populated area. Superman snaps as they fly out of the rural area, leaving the city. You got the drop on me earlier, but no more, David. David stares at him for a moment. Okay. Help! I'm under attack! He begins to shout. Superman is shocked for a moment, but there's a blur of motion and Superman 22 suddenly slams into him. Superman is knocked away, quickly getting to his feet, wiping blood from his lip. Yeah, I suppose I should have predicted this. He tries to talk some sense into Superman 22, explaining that he is from another Earth, but the older Superman isn't listening, continuing to lash out and attack, with the younger Superman barely able to avoid the blows. It's a trick, Superman! He's lying! He tried to murder me! And he told me that I was only the first to die! David shouts to Superman 22. Back in Metropolis, Batman is trying to get Superman on the comms, reminding him that something is wrong with this Earth. Something in the air is giving me a bad feeling. Batman suddenly whirls around as a grenade drops at his feet, blowing up the ground around him. Let that something be me, because I don't tolerate imposters. Batman 22 growls as he swoops down in his older age. I don't care if you're Clayface or a white Martian. There's only one of me, and that's plenty. Batman 22 says as he launches into the fight with Batman. Back in the mountains, Superman 22 continues his assault, but Superman has finally had enough, grabbing Superman 22 and throwing him to the ground before leaping into the air and flying away with Superman. The older Superman then gives chase, but Superman leaves him into a nearby lead tunnel. It's there that he quickly loses the older Superman in the darkness of the tunnels. Even if I can't see you, I can hear you, Superman 22 shouts. Superman nods and whistles, using his enhanced vocal cords to create a pitch that brings the entire mountain down on Superman 22. He flies out of the destruction as it collapses on the older hero, returning to where they left David, but there's no sign of Thunderman. Batman, I've lost David. Has he returned? Superman asks over the comms, but Batman can't answer. He's too busy dodging a fast kick from the older version of himself. Does anyone in this world have brains and enough patience to reason? Batman growls as he blocks a punch and launches a kick at his counterpart. We're evenly matched. Our strategies are identical, Batman 22 notes as he backs away. What does that tell you? Batman asks, but a batarang flies from nearby, wrapping around Batman's arm, pinning him to the nearby debris. That you're not Clayface. He moves like an elephant. I'm banking on telepath myself, Nightwing says as he leaps out of the shadows, tripping the pinned Batman, who's stunned to see the older version of Dick Grayson. While the dynamic duo begin to talk, Batman begins to use his new tech that he took from Atom Master to create a blade cutting through his bonds. Freed, he quickly dashes out at the duo, knocking them away, using the tech to create chains that pin them to the ground. That I'm merely restraining you should clear me of suspicion. Now let's get a fresh start, Batman says as he begins to tell the Earth-22 dynamic duo why he and Superman are here. But energy suddenly lashes out, striking him. Don't listen to him! He may look like you, but he's a stone-cold killer! David shouts as he rushes forward, preparing to hit Batman again. There's a blur of red and blue, and Batman disappears. In moments, Superman and Batman are standing at the Kent farm. Take your time, why don't you? Batman jokes at his friend's late rescue. But Superman isn't in the mood. Walking around the farm, he realizes that this world's Ma and Pa Kent have already passed away. Superman is angry at the heroes of this world, at the people that this Superman let die, and he lashes out, destroying a tree in one blow. But Batman puts a hand on his friend's shoulder. Clark, focus. You're never at your best when you're this angry, Batman says to him, suggesting that they return to their Earth and they regroup. But Superman shakes his head, holding up Flash's return device, showing the Dark Knight that it's been destroyed. We're stuck now, at least for now, Clark tells him, and Batman nods, asking his friend to keep his supervision on David. We gotta find out what actually turned him so drastically, Batman explains. And Superman nods, turning on his supervision, shocked to see David talking to their Earth-22 counterparts and reminding them about his origins on this world and how he's never met these versions of Batman and Superman before. What is he talking about? Superman asks as he relays David's words to Batman. He's desperately trying to hide that he's from another Earth for some reason. You said earlier that this world doesn't know about the multiverse. Why is David so determined to keep it a secret? Back in Metropolis, Batman 22 frowns at these words, but the heroes of Earth 22 look up as the wind begins to swirl around them. He's coming. He'll have answers. He always does. Praise be the way and the light. Praise be the stars above and the earth below, David says as the heroes all kneel before the golden armor-clad being that now stands before them. Praise be to God! All of the heroes on the planet begin to chant, and still using his supervision, Superman is stunned at the being's appearance. Who is that? He wonders. But both Batman and Superman turn to the sound of someone's approaching. He's the giver of life, and we are his disciples, Starman says as he and the rest of the Justice Brigade prepare to fight against the heroes. And there you have it. I'm going to leave us on a cliffhanger there, but make sure you like and subscribe because in a couple of days, we're going to be resolving this and figuring out what they think about Mangog and what exactly is going on in this universe. I hope you stick around and see it. I'll see you next time.